Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. I've been making my weekly picks against the spread, and I started off on fire. Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Steph Curry, over 500 records each of the first 5 weeks. Well, I wasn't going to go the whole season with winning records each week. Week 6 was a disappointing week, as was this past week 7. So we see went 5-8 this past week. Did nail the Monday night game to at least make the record somewhat respectable. Took the Vikings +7. But just 10, 17, and 1 the past 2 weeks. But you see on the season still 14 games over 500. So, let's keep our fingers crossed that I could get back to my winning ways, starting with week 8. So last week saw 6 teams with bye weeks. All 32 teams are playing this week. So we got 16 games. Let's take a look at the spreads there as of about 5:05 p.m. Eastern Time on DraftKings on Wednesday, October 25th. Let's get into it. Let's look at the first 8 games. So our Thursday night game is the Buccaneers +8.5 at the Bills. That's who I'm taking. Honestly, I have no idea who to take. I mean, the Bills have their offense has been a no-show each of the last three first halves, but then you see some games where they have offensive explosions, where Josh Allen's just making it look easy. Meanwhile, the Bucks, Baker Mayfield was one of the big surprises the first 4 games, and um, really hasn't performed well each of the last two. Buccaneers haven't looked good. I mean, Desmond Ritter had 3 red zone turnovers against the Buccaneers last week, and the Buccaneers still lost. So this is one I have no confidence in taking either team. I'll go with the Bucks, although I think the Bills do win. Eagles -6.5 at Commanders. Man, I just watched the Commanders play my Giants, and they should have lost by a lot more than 7. They really should have. I know the Commanders took the Eagles to overtime in Philadelphia. That just seems like an entirely different team than current. Sam Howell seems to get sacked 6 times a game at least, and the Eagles definitely have a pretty dominant pass rush, so I'm taking them to win by at least a touchdown, an extra point. Another tough one, Dolphins. Dolphins struggle against good teams, which the Patriots are not. Yes, I know the Patriots just beat the Bills, but they're still just 2-5 on the season. Dolphins do tend to dominate against lesser opponents, so I'll pick them to win by double digits. The Giants, my team. You see, I got the shirt on right now. I've been picking against them. I actually went against them twice in Survivor, and I'm still alive in my Survivor pool. But I just think that they will beat the Jets. They're underdog by 3. It's considered a home game, although both teams play in the same stadium. Um, Not sure if Daniel Jones is going to start. Honestly, the team has looked better with Tyrod Taylor. Kind of would hope to see that. I think Andrew Thomas has a chance to come back. We know that offensive line has been a sore spot for him this season, but it's also a sore spot for the Jets. So maybe Kayvon Thibodeau could get a sack or two in this game. I think the Giants find a way to win. The Vikings favorite by a point at the Packers. Man, how the Packers have dropped from somewhat of a successful start to the season. Jordan Love completely fallen back down to earth, and don't look now. The Vikings are 2-0 without Justin Jefferson. Can they make it 3-0? I'm predicting they do. This one I actually switched. I usually go with my first instinct. I changed my mind, taking the Rams +6.5 at Dallas. I think Dallas will win, although not by a substantial amount. Cooper Kupp coming off a disappointing 2-catch game. Puka Nakua still doing his thing. Dallas, meanwhile, yes, they won their last game against the Chargers, but the more the Chargers play, a less impressive a game like that looks. And I think the Rams keep it tight. Jaguars -2.5 at the Steelers. It's just I can't. It's hard to believe the Steelers are 4-2. I mean, when you name the top teams in the NFL, nobody is naming the Steelers. I'm sorry. Jaguars though are 5-2, so a half game better. I think Trevor Lawrence comes to play in this game. Um, Steelers, meanwhile, Kenny Pickett's going to throw an interception or two. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, that two-headed running back, not really paying much dividends for him this year. Steelers lose to drop to 4-3. Tough one because the Titans are underdog by 3 at home to the Falcons. Now, we have heard that Will Levis is going to get the start. Will Levis has not yet seen the field. As a matter of fact, Malik Willis has been the backup all season. But I've read that Malik Willis should be getting playing time in this game as well. While I don't have much high hopes for Will Levis, I don't think he'll be much worse than Desmond Ridder. I think it could be a ball control running game. They got Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears, Jeffrey Simmons and crew can help slow down Bijan Robinson if he plays. We saw him get one carry, although not being on the injury report, and Tyler Algier. So maybe the Titans lose by a point or two, but I got them with the spread. Let's look at the other 8 games. And this game is just a hunch. It really is. I mean, the Texans, you would think everything's pointing to them winning, except I think the Panthers coming out of the bye week ready to play. Of course, battle of the top 2 picks in this past NFL draft, both quarterbacks, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young gets his first victory in the NFL again off the bye week. Saints -1 at the Colts, and I think the Saints were underdog by a point and a half when I checked the spreads this morning, so it changed. Still going with the Saints. I don't know. I keep saying I think they're still going to win the NFC South, but that's really going to change if they can't win this game. Um, just they've been in one of the league's 2 or 3 biggest disappointments in my eyes so far. But again, NFC South is open for the taking. Seahawks -3.5 versus the Browns. Another tough game. We know Deshaun Watson is out. PJ Walker will be getting the start, while PJ Walker isn't exactly lighting up the world on fire. Browns are winning. Myles Garrett could be the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. The Seahawks are one of those good teams. They got an excellent secondary, so expect an interception of 2 off Walker. Chiefs -7 at Broncos. That spread actually went down a point since I looked this morning. Chiefs were favored by 8. Was taking the Chiefs either way. I actually did a short this morning. This, Patrick Mahomes 12-0 against the Chiefs could set an NFL record, starting his career 13-0 against the team. He had tied out Odell Graham, who went 12-0 back in the 50s to start his career against the Chicago Cardinals. Speaking of the Cardinals, they're underdog by 8 against the Ravens. I just think Ravens are one of the better teams in the NFL, easily could be undefeated, and the Cardinals have definitely come back down to earth. Joshua Dobbs performing much more like a backup quarterback of late. This spread changed by 2.5 points from this morning. The Bengals were underdog by 5.5 points this morning. It dropped down to 3. I am still going to take the Bengals. While Joe Burrow might not be playing quite at 2021-2022 level, he is playing better. Bengals have won 2 in a row. Meanwhile, is the glass slipper falling off Brock Purdy? First 2 losses of his career, other than that Eagles playoff game. Well, first 2 career losses in the regular season. 49ers lost to the Vikings on Monday night. Chargers -8.5 versus the Bears. Man, I'm someone who doesn't necessarily like taking the Chargers via the spread, regardless of what the spread is. But this week I'm feeling really confident in them. They're at my survivor pick, and Tyson Bagent. Tyson Bagent performed well in his first start, but still unproven player. I'm going with the Chargers. And this game, man, I'm surprised I'm taking the Raiders, but I am. I don't. Part of me still a little bit believes in the Raiders. I mean, Josh McDaniels, not a good coach, that is for sure. Lions coming off a blowout loss to the Ravens. but I think Jimmy G will be back for this game. Brian Hoyer was a dumpster fire last week for the Raiders, so I think the Lions win, but the Raiders cover. So there are my week 8 picks. Again, coming off 2 straight losing weeks after having a winning week each of my first 5. So let's hope I come back to how I started to begin this season and stay well above 500. Anyhow, let me know your picks in the comments, maybe some best bets you have. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.